Okay, hey everybody, this is Arun, and this is our diagnostic testing process for Driven Auto Care. And this video is for both managers and technicians because, frankly, this applies to everybody in the company, how we do our diagnostic testing process. So, first, I want to give a shout out. I was not a technician. I have zero experience diagnosing cars in a professional environment. So everything that I'm about to tell you was heavily influenced and inspired by South Main Auto, which is a YouTube channel with like 1 million subscribers at this point. Eric O in upstate New York, in this small town in upstate New York, has this little 2-bay shop. And for the last 10 years, the man has been putting out YouTube videos religiously, fixing every different type of weird diagnostic issue or rusted out car under the sun. And it is awesome to see. I love these videos, and his diagnostic process and his commitment to doing right by the customer really is what has inspired everything that Driven Auto Care does today with regard to diagnostic testing. This is why I'm so passionate about hiring qualified and capable technicians and managers who understand how a car works in theory to be able to translate to customers, this is how we fix cars. This is what it is, and this is why we are so good at it and why we can bring in additional customers and give them an excellent customer experience through this diagnostic process. So if you want to check out Eric O's videos, I highly recommend it. South Main Auto on YouTube, there's a link for you. Okay, so first for managers. Level 1 testing is a service in shopware. It's a canned job. I don't know if it'll ever be, if it will be this way forever, but right now it is a canned job that has text in it, in a labor line, for our diagnostic testing guarantee, and it is 0.5 hours at $0 labor rate. That is what that job is. Now, the whole point of this slide is to address whether or not you should add that to a repair order. I don't think it actually comes up as often as a lot of people end up thinking, so I'm glad that I have the opportunity here to clarify. A customer brings in a vehicle and has a specific complaint for us. That's what happens some of the time. You know, sometimes we have maintenance, sometimes we have aftermarket stuff. A lot of times it's a complaint, a specific complaint. There's a warning light, a noise, a feeling, a leak, a smell. Something's not working, like your air conditioner or your radio. Many of these things we can figure out as a professional in a short amount of time and with a short amount of, or a low amount of equipment and experience and all that. Like a lot of this stuff, it's just that a customer doesn't even open their hood and know what all the lights on the dash mean. We do. And because of that, we can pretty quickly deliver high levels of value to our customers. And I try to make sure that we are compensated accordingly and fairly for that time and value. So with all that said, I also want to make sure that we are getting in customers and giving them a low barrier to entry to experience our services, because I believe once they have done that, they will have a much easier time coming back time and time and time again as a lifetime customer. We give away a little bit up front, we're going to get a lot on the back end. That's the idea here. A lot of issues we can figure out with a visual inspection and a test drive. Guess what we do as a confidence inspection on every car? A test drive and a visual inspection. Therefore, you don't need level 1 testing on every job. A lot of stuff can just be addressed through our confidence inspection. A brake vibration, for example, a suspension noise, a leak. These are all things that are pretty easy to figure out just from a confidence inspection, just from a quick visual. There are certain situations where we're going to need specific testing equipment. So before talking about level 1, we're also going to talk about things like AC diagnostics. This is the biggest one that comes to mind pretty much all the time, every summer. We know we're going to need an AC machine. We know we're likely going to need refrigerant. Maybe, maybe not. If someone is complaining about AC not working, we have an AC test, separate from level 1 testing. We have AC testing because I believe that at that point, they're using a $7,000 machine, they are using refrigerant, and they should sign up to pay for that specifically outside of level 1 testing. In the remaining cases, like I said, we want to keep the barrier to entry low. We want to get you in the door with the $0 charge because on the back end, we do make it up with customer lifetime value and high pricing. So we don't tell you $150 to $300 diagnostic fee upfront. I don't want to do that. We have a free preliminary diagnostic assessment called level 1 testing. This is how we can flex our diagnostic efficiency. This is why we have really good technicians working for us, is because we can get to the bottom of a lot of problems very, very quickly, which is awesome. I love being able to do this for our customers and giving it away, frankly. I love being able to do that and help people get back on the road and drive with confidence. So what is covered by level 1 testing? Not a lot of these issues that I described already. The things that apply is warning lights, no crank, no start conditions, drivability issues. That is all. Other things, there are either confidence inspections, there are specific tests like oil leak diagnostics if it's major and we need to do cleaning first. There's coolant system pressure tests. There is extended test drives that we will offer for a fee. These are all separate from level 1 testing. Level 1 testing is warning lights, no start, no crank, or just no start, and drivability. That's it. Up to you, managers, to determine what exactly you're going to do. You should ask for all the typical diagnostic questions. Under what conditions is this happening? How long has it been happening for? What symptoms have you noticed that go along with the specific condition that you're worried about? Is there a smell? Is there a noise? In addition to the check engine light, things like that. If you need more information on this, there's a full write-up called Estimating 101 that goes along with your manager onboarding. Please go refer back to that so you can get more details on this. So if we're going to do level 1 testing, it's 0.5 for free. Remember that. It's 0.5 for free. So we really need to be careful with this time because we want to make money. Giving away our time for free ain't making any money on its own. So we need to be very careful with this. We do not spend our time recklessly. It is a calculated move to do level 1 testing. And it delivers a high amount of customer value in a short amount of investment from us. So here is what we're aiming for. Here are the two kind of standards to go for. Level 1 testing should be performed at 200% efficiency. If you've watched the training on metrics, you'll know that our target efficiency is 100 to 150%. So hitting 200% efficiency on a service is pretty big. But we want level 1 testing to take you 15 minutes in total. Level 1 testing should result in one of two things for the tech. A recommended fix, a recommended repair for the customer concern, or a recommended testing plan to diagnose the issue with certainty. So, like it says in this slide here, this testing time is intended to cover a selection that you make as the technician from a set of procedures that are available to you that you can use to figure out what's wrong. Right at the bottom here, we have a list of what those procedures are. You're going to do a full system scan with a real scanner, not just a pocket scanner. Service manager can do a little pocket scan to give you some direction if they get to that up front before you get to work on the car. They can give you some help. They can tell you what the code is. They can do all that stuff. And then you can have your eyes open as you're going through the initial steps of the confidence inspection before the level 1 testing to figure out what's going on. That's a key thing also. Do the confidence inspection first. Even if the car can't be driven, you can figure out a lot from a battery test or from a full system scan or from a visual inspection before we ever get into level 1 testing. So you're going to do that scan. You're going to go into service information and see what code set criteria is for a specific trouble code. You got a P0420, catalyst system efficiency is based on oxygen sensor readings, for example, and you can figure out exactly what voltage the rear O2 sensor is supposed to be at in order to diagnose whether it's a bad cat, bad O2, something like that. You can get to the bottom of it very quickly, figuring out code set criteria. And then you can also look at freeze frame data. We had a situation where we had an F250 diesel that set an overheating code, a coolant temperature code, coolant temperature out of range or something like that. And there was no coolant in the reservoir. And so we had this interesting situation where it's like, well, I think it overheated, but then it had another code for EGT sensor. And although it had a coolant leak for bad radiator, it also had a bad EGT, which caused EGT input into the BCM or the ECM to be 1600 degrees on the final sensor, like way past like a lot of the DPF and all that. It's not going to be that hot. In that situation, we looked at freeze frame data, coolant temperature, 195 degrees. So not really an overheating issue, which is good because that helps inform us on whether or not this issue is part of a larger issue that's developed where this engine is overheated multiple times or something like that. So that's what you get out of that procedure. Go for a test drive with a scan tool hooked up, pulling up the live data that you need to read in order to diagnose a code. So going back to O2 sensors, if you have O2 sensors with voltage going crazy, you can figure out very quickly with then bringing it in and doing a visual inspection, maybe a quick electrical test on a very accessible O2 sensor under the car. You're already there because of the confidence inspection. You can get to that answer pretty quickly too on whether or not you have a bad O2 sensor. But live data and doing that check first is very important. Fuel trims, another great thing to look at in live data for a lot of fuel delivery related issues. You also have a lot of evap related issues that's very easy to figure out from live data. You don't actually need to look at the car at all. Sometimes you need a smoke test. We can charge for a smoke test, or if we get straight there, maybe we don't charge for it. But in general, evap, purge valve solenoids, very easy to identify from live data as well. And bidirectional control, of course, is part of that procedure. Then you have service information and other resources. You can Google stuff. I once figured out why there was a major vibration in a BMW F32 or F34, I don't know, a Grand Coupe BMW 4 Series 2017. There was a major vibration coming from the center console, and we had invested like an hour into figuring out what was wrong with it. Test drives, putting it up on the lift, we could not figure it out. I Googled BMW 4 Series center console vibration noise, and up comes this thing saying, oh, your parking brake cable retainer is a plastic and known to break. What do you know? We pull out an exhaust shield, and the parking brake cable is rubbing on the drive shaft. Easy enough, I Googled it. That can happen kind of regularly in what we do as well. So don't forget to use AllData, Identifix, Google. We may subscribe to other service information in the future. You have a ton of resources and information at your disposal. You don't just need to rely on your memory or your gut to figure things out here. You can do a visual inspection. This is another procedure available to you in level 1 testing. The visual inspection, you can go slightly beyond a confidence inspection. You do have more time. Maybe you pull out an airbox and you can see a thermostat, something like that. There's plenty of options here for additional little bit of visual inspection that you can do. And lastly would be electrical testing of easily accessible components and connectors. So maybe you can reach the starter. You pull out the airbox, you can reach the starter, you can bang on it, all of a sudden it starts working again. You know, that kind of thing. Maybe you need a starter. You can go into that sort of testing, and it takes you so little time. It takes you so little time if you think through, plan it, work the plan. That's why we say 15 minutes for this. Now you get through the end of all that, especially research, freeze frame data, code set criteria. You get through all that, you need more time for whatever reason. You need to do a smoke test. You need to test multiple components. You need to pull fuses for parasitic draws. You need to tear down a rear diff to see how much metal is in the gear oil. You need to pull apart a door panel. You need to pull apart a dash. All that kind of stuff can be very necessary in diagnostics. Sometimes you need just more research time. Ideally, you get a pretty good grasp of the direction you're going with your additional time. But we don't just say, all right, escalate to level 2. That ain't it. That is not at all what we do. We have a clear testing plan for your next steps. Your next steps with all this research and information that you gathered, you can use to formulate that testing plan. That testing plan is what we will sell. That is the whole point. But I'll come back to that. The point of doing all these procedures in 15 minutes, picking a couple of them, getting through it, maybe you come up with a recommendation just like that, you have so much value with the customer. That is what will get that car back in there for its next maintenance item. That is what develops so much trust and gets us customer lifetime value, is giving away that little bit up front. We're not hitting them with $300 up front for an hour. We're saying a lot of these things can be figured out by good diagnostic technicians in a short amount of time, and I'm willing to give you that time in exchange for your faith to do the work with me later. I have explicitly told customers, bring it to me, I'll tell you what's wrong with it for free, and you can go somewhere else and get it done cheaper. And they don't, because they like what we offer. They have faith in our ability to fix the car properly. They know we stand behind our work. They know we stand behind our diagnostics, which I'll get into here. That's huge. They can save money and go somewhere else. That happens like 1% of the time by people that know they are scamming you. I don't care. It's worth it. That's why it's so valuable to do this for people. Okay, what are the outputs and the guarantee that I just mentioned? So you should be able to deliver a testing plan. This testing plan has two purposes. Number one, you're giving the manager ammo to sell a customer on. You're saying, this is what you are giving your dollars to me for. My technician is going to do X, Y, and Z to figure out exactly what's going on with your car with certainty. I will know that I have ruled out this part being the problem, and I've confirmed that this part is the problem because of the work we will do. I will bring in a programmer. I will buy the right specialty tools. I will make sure that we have the capability to, with certainty, figure out what's going on with your car if you choose to pay for this additional testing. That is so much better than saying you need to sign up for level 2 testing. That'll be $600. That ain't working for me. Maybe it works if you are the diagnostic tech and you're selling a customer the work, because then they ask you, what is level 2 testing? And you say, oh, well, it's this, 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 and this. As the tech, you have to give that testing plan to the manager up front. You have to develop that testing plan without just winging it on the fly with a customer on the phone. That is not the point. The point is that you deliver it to the manager, and the manager can describe it to the customer, can describe the desired outcome of the testing plan, and it is extremely valuable to customers to have that information. This also helps lower costs for customers without hurting us in the process. That's the way I'm going to describe this. We've given away 0.5 for level 1 testing. We've completed it in 15 minutes. Now we have an additional testing plan here where we're going to tear down, let's call it, you need to diagnose a window regulator. And you verified that a passenger rear window doesn't work, both from the switch on the passenger rear window and from the master switch. So you know you need to probably tear down into the door panel to figure out what's wrong. We might charge an hour for that with no parts. But it's likely that you're going to need a window regulator at the end of this. Window regulator and motor, maybe. So we need to access that door panel, get behind it, see what's going on with your window regulator. We're going to perform some electrical tests. We're going to see if we can get it working. You're probably going to need a window regulator. I'll sign you up as the manager talking to the customer. I'll sign you up for the labor, and then I'll say, you know, if it ends up being the window regulator, you're only going to need to pay for the part because I already signed you up for the labor to do the full R&R of that window regulator. Now I'm just going to have you pay for the part on top of it. That gives a lot of faith to customers to say, oh, thank you for not charging me twice for the same thing. And being able to do that builds trust in customers, and they come back time and time again. We do charge accordingly. So maybe book time's 0.5 on that window regulator, and we gave you an hour. So keep in mind, we know that things take longer than book time, like most of the time. There's so much not included in book time that we have to take into consideration, and we try to get it right. We try to inflate over book time, not so that we're scamming customers, but so that we're getting efficient 100% efficiency with our work so that we are at least billing for every hour you're working on the car. That's what's important here. And we're not going to double charge a customer for labor, but we are going to make sure you're adequately compensated for the work. The recommended repair that you will deliver, whether it's upfront from level 1 testing or from the additional testing plan, must be a confirmed diagnosis that stands up to our diagnostic testing guarantee. You can be 99.9% right. I'll be okay with that. I'll be okay with that 1.01% chance where we recommend something and it ends up not fixing it because you're 99% sure instead of 100. I'd rather you spend the time getting 99% of the way there, and the 1% of the time that you're wrong is such a low cost compared to the amount of extra time you'd need to spend to get 100% right that it's okay. So keep that in mind. We're not perfect. You're not going to have a 0% warranty rate. You're not going to have a 0% testing guarantee comeback issue or rate. But that is what we're aiming for, is a confirmed diagnosis as much of the time as possible, because we have that guarantee for our testing. We only employ technicians who know what they're doing when it comes to diagnostics. So you should have heard this whole training and been like, yeah, I get that. I get that, Arun. I'm not a tech. I only know all of this from reading and watching South Main Auto. Seriously. So like, you can do this, and I believe you can get up to this standard if you don't feel you're there yet. If you understand everything I'm saying, you're in the right place. So here's what our diagnostic testing guarantee means. If a customer performs a repair that was recommended from our testing, and that repair does not at least incrementally improve a vehicle, meaning it could have multiple things going on, if we made it a little better because we addressed one thing and then there's a root cause that goes beyond that, that's fine. That's totally fine. We at least made the car better. If they come back because of this root cause issue that goes beyond, we know that that caused the first thing that we fixed. That's fine. But if it doesn't fix it, or at least make it a little bit better, then the customer's not paying. The customer's not paying for it. So I probably take this too far. I'll just say that. I'll give you an example I just experienced last time I was running a shop. I had a customer with a 2007 Ford Taurus. It had no brake pedal whatsoever. Thing went to the floor, and it had lean codes. And we spent a lot of time diagnosing that the mass airflow sensor was bad. The mass airflow sensor by a previous shop had been cleaned. The clip had broken on the mass airflow sensor. I believe what happened is two possibilities. Either it was a bad mass airflow sensor and we replaced it with a good mass airflow sensor and rectified that problem. But it's also possible that because the clip was broken, it was like shaking a little too much in the intake or something like that. And the mass airflow sensor wasn't reading quite right. Like, it was close, but it wasn't reading quite right. So we replaced it because we couldn't find anything else wrong. Fuel delivery, vacuum, anything. Couldn't find it at the time. We go on the final test drive. It turns out the brake pedal's going to the floor because the booster diaphragm has a giant hole in it, and you slam on the brake pedal and the whole booster is whistling at you because of the vacuum leak. That's a problem. In that situation, I believe what happened is the code would set for this customer when he hit the brakes hard. When he developed a vacuum leak or created a vacuum leak from his booster because he hit the brakes hard, that is what caused the lean code. I don't think it was the mass airflow sensor that caused the lean code. I could be wrong, maybe the bad mass airflow sensor too, but we couldn't confirm that. We didn't have enough documented data on that confirmed diagnosis. This was one of those 99% situations. We thought we had it with the mass airflow sensor. We did not. We ultimately said, okay, customer, the money you put towards the mass airflow sensor will be credited towards the brake booster. We will replace your brake booster and give you a credit for the mass airflow sensor replacement cost to that booster repair. We did that. So that's how our testing guarantee works. If we don't fix your car, you're not paying. That's really bottom line here. That's it. We'll get to the next steps and takeaways here. I'm going to go just through these bullet points here. I'm going to start at the beginning of this slide. There we go. Okay. Next steps, takeaways. we do have to continuously grow our customer base. People are going to buy new cars. People are going to move away. People are going to pass away. We're going to have to continuously bring in new customers. These new customers have found a new shop. They found us. We are a new shop. They're not going to their old shop anymore. There is a reason that they're not going to their old shop anymore. We are the new shop for them. There are 3 things that set us apart that attract them in and then keep them in with our diagnostic testing process. We have a free diagnostic testing service. Preliminary diagnostic assessment is the words I use on the phone and in writing with our customers and on our website. Internally, we call it level 1 testing. It's free. That brings people in. They like free stuff. They want to get free stuff. Next, we have a diagnostic testing guarantee, especially valuable if people end up having to pay for additional testing. They know they're not paying for things that don't fix their car. That gives them faith in us. We have faith in ourselves to not waste our time and money repairing cars or performing repairs on cars that don't fix the problem. That's terrible for us as a business model. We don't want to do it. We don't want them to do it and have to deal with it with us. So if it happens, we take the hit. That's how that goes. And lastly, we have a transparent diagnostic process. I'm not just going to sign you up for level 2 testing. I'm going to tell you exactly what we're doing, and I'm going to tell you, whether you want to hear it or not, what the expected outcome is and what the results of our testing should be. That way you know exactly what's going on, and if you choose to understand it or you want to run it by your uncle that's a former retired mechanic, like all that kind of stuff, we can deal with that. We have a full basis of technical ability and information to be able to back up our process. You're good at your damn job. That's what this is for. And so, how do we make up for all this? This sounds like we're giving away a lot. This sounds like I'm asking a lot of you. Here's where we make it back. We do all this because we have the best customer experience that you can find in automotive service. We price accordingly. Everything after this 0.5 free diagnostic testing is top of market pricing. We are going to make sure that you're hitting 100% efficiency on the work that you're doing so that our top of market pricing is resulting in the profit that our business needs to grow, that you need to be compensated fairly for your work, and ultimately because our customers will want to come back to us because they just enjoyed the service so much. So what do I call it at the end of the day? I say we're giving away great deals on Cadillacs. We do not give away Kias at a fair price. We are not a low quality product given away at a price that makes some money. We are a very high quality product that we are able to deliver at a relatively low cost. We have small shops, we have low overhead, and we do that so that we can give relatively good pricing. We tend to be a little bit cheaper than most dealerships around us, but we are extremely higher than all the independent shops around us, and we have the margin to back it up. And because of that, I say that we give a great deal on a Cadillac. We give better than dealership level competency, we give better than dealership level service, and we give better than dealership level experience, but you don't pay that much. You don't pay as much as a dealership is going to charge. We are not incentivizing you to just sell everything under the sun. We want you to deliver an excellent customer experience and make money because of that. We want you to develop raving fans who come back time and time again in order to get the Driven Auto Care flavor. That's what I got. Go make some great deals on Cadillacs and stay driven.